Commander Jake Martinez floated in the zero-gravity chamber of the Silent Storm, watching the stars through the clear metal walls. The ship had been hidden in the shadow of a dead moon for 3 weeks now, listening to alien radio signals from across the galaxy. Jake had been doing this job for 5 years, and most days, nothing interesting happened. The aliens talked about trade deals, weather reports, and family news, just like humans did back on Earth. But today was different. Today the signals were full of fear. Jake pushed himself toward the control panel where Dr. Lisa Parker was working. Lisa was the smartest person Jake had ever met. She could speak 12 alien languages and understand how their minds worked. Her fingers moved quickly across the translation computer, trying to make sense of the panicked voices coming through the speakers. "What are they saying?" Jake asked, grabbing a handle on the wall to stop himself from floating away. Lisa looked up at him with worried eyes. "Something bad is happening out there, Jake. Really bad. The Galactic Confederation is under attack." Lieutenant Ben Rogers pushed through the doorway, his military boots clicking on the metal floor. Ben was a quiet man who rarely spoke about his past, but Jake knew he had been trained for war. "How bad are we talking about?" Ben asked. Lisa turned up the volume on the main speaker. The voice that came through sounded like insects clicking and buzzing, but the computer changed it into English words. "This is Counselor Vexter of the Zephyrian High Command. Hey, we need help. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help, right?" Now, the voice was shaking with terror. Jake had never heard an alien sound so afraid. "They call themselves the Void Hunters," Lisa continued, reading from her screen. "They came from somewhere outside the galaxy. The Confederation military tried to fight them, but their weapons don't work. Entire star systems are being destroyed." Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The Galactic Confederation was made up of over 800 different alien species. They had been living in peace for thousands of years. Their armies were used for keeping order, not fighting wars. If something was destroying them, it had to be incredibly powerful. "How many ships do the Void Hunters have?" Ben asked. Lisa's fingers flew across the keyboard as she searched through more messages. "Reports are confused, but it sounds like they don't need many ships. They have some kind of weapon that can make entire planets just disappear. The aliens are calling it reality warping technology." Jake floated over to the main view screen and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of innocent beings were dying. The Confederation had never hurt anyone. They were explorers. And traders, not warriors. "They didn't deserve this," Commander Lisa said quietly. "I'm getting reports from the outer systems. The Void Hunters are moving toward the Confederation capital. If they take Nexus Prime, the whole government will collapse." Jake closed his eyes and thought about the choice he had to make. Earth had been hiding from the galaxy for over 200 years. The Shadow Doctrine said that humans should never reveal themselves to aliens. It was the law that had kept Earth safe since space travel began. But now that law might mean watching an entire galaxy die. Sir Ben said we should contact Earth Command. This is bigger than our mission. Jake nodded. "Lisa, send everything we have to Admiral Thompson. Tell him we need emergency orders." He paused and listened to another desperate message from a mess. "The aliens. And tell him that if we don't do something soon, there might not be anyone left to save." Lisa's fingers moved across the communication panel. The message would take 6 hours to reach Earth, even using the fastest quantum transmitters. 6 hours. While the Void Hunters killed more innocent people, the next few hours passed slowly. Jake and his crew listened to the alien radio signals, trying to understand what was happening. The news kept getting worse. Void Hunters had destroyed the Confederation's main fleet. The surviving ships were running away as fast as they could, but the enemy was catching up. "Jake," Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm translating a message from a civilian transport. They have 3,000 families on board, mostly children. The Void Hunters are right behind them." Jake felt his hands form fists. On Earth, he had grown up hearing stories about the old wars, when humans fought each other over land and resources. But this was different. This was about survival itself. "The transport just went silent," Lisa reported. I think they're gone. Ben walked over to the weapons console and stared at the controls. The Silent Storm was built for spying, not fighting, but it did have some basic weapons. We could help them, he said quietly. We could do cloak and fight. With what? Jake asked. We have 2 plasma cannons and a shield generator. The Void Hunters are destroying entire fleets. Maybe, Ben said. But we're human. We're different from them. Jake knew what Ben meant. Earth was what the galaxy called a death world. The gravity was 3 times stronger than most planets where aliens lived. The weather was violent and unpredictable. Animals were dangerous predators. Humans had evolved to survive things that would kill most other species. But being tough didn't mean they could fight reality-warping aliens. The communication panel buzzed with an incoming message from Earth. Jake pushed himself over to read it, hoping for clear orders. Instead, he found something that made his blood run cold. Earth command to Silent Storm, Jake read out loud. Maintain position and observe only. Do not engage. Do not reveal human presence under any circumstances. The shadow doctrine remains. In effect, Lisa looked at him with disappointment in her eyes. So we just watched them die? Jake stared at the message for a long time. He thought about the oath he had taken when he joined the Earth Defense Force. He had promised to protect humanity from all threats, foreign and domestic. But did that mean he had to ignore the suffering of others? Another message came through. The alien channels. This time it was from Counselor Vexstar again. This is our final transmission, the insect-like voice said. The Void Hunters have reached our core systems. Our children are dying. Our worlds are burning. If anyone out there can hear this, please remember us. Remember that we tried to do good in this galaxy. The transmission ended with a sound like screaming. Jake made his decision. He pushed himself over to the command chair and activated the ship's internal communication system. All hands, this is the commander. We're going to do something that goes against our orders. We're going to help those people. Sir, Ben said, if we break the shadow doctrine, we could start a war with our own government. Jake looked at him seriously. Maybe, but if we don't break it, we'll have to live with watching genocide happen when we could have stopped it. Lisa was already working at her station. I'm plotting a course to the Nexus Prime system. It will take us 18 hours to get there, even at maximum speed. Do it, Jake said. And send a message to all ships in the area. Is coming to help. As the Silent Storm's engines came to life, Jake felt a mixture of fear and excitement. In 18 hours, humanity would make first contact with alien civilizations. But it wouldn't be the peaceful meeting that everyone had always imagined. It would be first contact through fire and blood. With the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, the stars outside began to move as the ship accelerated toward its destination. Jake watched them and wondered if he had just made the best decision of his life, or the worst mistake in human history. Either way, there was no going back now. President Catherine Walsh stood in the war room deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, staring at the massive screen that showed the galaxy. Red dots marked where the Void Hunters had attacked. There were so many red dots that parts of the galaxy looked like they were bleeding. How many dead? She asked quietly. General Amy Rodriguez, a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, looked at her tablet. Conservative estimate is 40 billion in the last week. The number keeps growing. Catherine felt sick. 40 billion people. That was more than 4 times the population of Earth, and they were dying because something evil had come from outside the galaxy to destroy everything in its path. What do we know about these Void Hunters? Catherine asked. Dr. Richard Hayes, the government's top expert on alien psychology, stepped forward. He was a thin man who looked like he hadn't slept in days. They're not like anything we've seen before, Madam President. The aliens described them as reality warpers. They can change the laws of physics around their ships. That's impossible, said Admiral Chris Thompson, the head of Earth's secret space fleet. He was an old military man who didn't believe in things. That couldn't be explained. No, Admiral, Dr. Hayes replied. It's not impossible. It's just science we don't understand yet. The Void Hunters seem to feed on the death of civilizations. Each world they destroy makes them stronger. Catherine walked over to the window that looked out over the hidden military base. Thousands of people worked here, all sworn to keep Earth's secrets. For over 2 centuries, humanity had watched the galaxy from the shadows, learning about alien species and their technology. They had built weapons and ships that no one else knew about. What are our options? Catherine asked. Admiral Thompson activated a holographic display that showed Earth's hidden fleet. We have 47 stealth ships scattered across the galaxy. Most are small scout vessels like Commander Martinez's Silent Storm. But we also have 3 experimental warships that have never been tested in real combat. What makes them special? Catherine asked. General Rodriguez smiled grimly. They're built for fighting Deathworld predators, Madam President. Everything on Earth is designed to kill everything else. Our weapons are made to stop creatures that can survive in acid rain, crushing gravity, and radiation that would kill most aliens instantly. Catherine nodded. She had grown up on Earth, so she knew how dangerous their planet was. Most humans didn't think about it, but their world was a nightmare compared to the peaceful planets where aliens lived. Human children played in environments that would be considered torture chambers by galactic standards. The question is, Admiral Thompson continued, do we risk everything to help people we've never met? If we reveal ourselves, we become targets. The Void Hunters might come for Earth next. They're already coming for Earth, Dr. Hayes said quietly. If they destroy the galaxy, we're next anyway. The only question is whether we fight them now when we have allies, or later when we're alone. Faces of her advisors. These people had dedicated their lives to protecting humanity. Now they had to decide whether protecting humanity meant staying hidden or stepping into the light. Tell me about the experimental ships, she said. General Rodriguez pressed a button, and 3 new ships appeared on the holographic display. They looked different from the sleek alien vessels Catherine had seen in intelligence reports. These ships were built like Earth predators, all angles and armor and weapons. The Earth's Fury is commanded by Captain Steve Miller, General Rodriguez explained. It's designed for close combat, with quantum phase weapons that can punch through any known shield technology. The Defiant Dawn, under Captain Karen Foster, is built for long-range support with probability shift defensive systems and the Storm. Bringer, led by Captain Alex Johnson, is our heavy assault ship. How do we know they'll work against the Void Hunters? Catherine asked. Dr. Hayes pulled up another display showing alien battle reports. The Confederation's weapons are designed for peacekeeping, not war. They use energy beams that are meant to disable, not destroy. Their shields are built to stop accidents, not attacks. The Void Hunters adapted to their technology in ours. But our technology is different, Admiral Thompson added. We designed our weapons to kill the worst predators Earth has ever produced. We built our ships to survive in the most hostile environments in the galaxy. Void Hunters have never faced anything like human military technology. Catherine walked back to the main screen and stared at the red dots that marked dead worlds. Somewhere out there, aliens were dying because monsters from outside the galaxy wanted to feed on their death. She thought about the children on those worlds, the families torn apart, the civilizations that had taken thousands of years to build, being destroyed in hours. There's something else, Dr. Hayes said quietly. I've been studying the Void Hunter attack patterns. They're not random. They're targeting the most peaceful species first, the ones who can't fight back. Why? Catherine asked. God, because fear makes the death energy stronger. They're not just killing people, they're terrorizing entire civilizations before they destroy them. It's like they're farming fear. Catherine felt anger building in her chest. She had seen evil before, during the resource wars of the early 21st century. But this was different. This was evil that came from outside their galaxy, evil that existed only to cause suffering. What would happen if we revealed ourselves, she asked. Admiral Thompson looked uncomfortable. The Confederation would probably panic at first. We're from a death world, after all. Most aliens would see us as monsters. But if we save them from the Void Hunters, they might accept us. And if we fail? Catherine asked. Then humanity becomes the galaxy's public enemy number 1, General Rodriguez said. And the Void Hunters will know exactly where to find us. Catherine closed her eyes and thought about the decision that would change human history forever. For over 200 years, Earth had been safe because no one knew they existed. The Shadow Doctrine had protected humanity from alien diseases, alien wars, and alien politics. But now the Shadow Doctrine meant watching billions of innocent people die. "I need to know one thing," Catherine said. "Are our ships good enough to make a difference?"
General Rodriguez and Admiral Thompson looked at each other. Finally, the general spoke.
"Madam President, our ships are built to fight in the worst conditions imaginable. They're designed by people who evolved on a world where everything tries to kill you. The Void Hunters are powerful, but they've never faced predators like us." Catherine made her decision. "I'm authorizing Operation Daybreak. We're going to reveal ourselves to the galaxy." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. After today, humanity would never be hidden again. "Admiral Thompson, I want those 3 experimental ships ready for combat in 6 hours. General Rodriguez, prepare our ground forces for possible deployment. Dr. Hayes, start working on first contact protocols. We're going to need to convince the aliens that we're here to help, not conquer." "Yes, Madam President," they all replied. Catherine turned back to the screen showing the galaxy. Soon, the red dots would stop spreading. Soon, the Void Hunters would learn that they had made a terrible mistake when they decided to attack a galaxy that contained Earth. "One more thing," Catherine said. "Send a message to all our hidden ships. Tell them that the Shadow Doctrine is officially suspended. Tell them that humanity is going to war." As her advisors rushed to carry out her orders, Catherine remained alone in the war room. She looked at the picture of Earth on her desk. The blue and green world that had created the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The aliens had cried for help, and now the Deathworlders were coming out of the shadows to answer that call. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you threatened the innocent in front of humans. Captain Steve Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth's Fury, watching the Nexus Prime system appear on his main screen. What he saw made his stomach turn. The beautiful blue planet that served as the Confederation's capital was surrounded by burning wreckage. Thousands of alien ships floated dead in space, their hulls torn apart by weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. "How many survivors?" Miller asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Sophie Davis. Sophie was a young woman with quick hands and a sharp mind. She had graduated at the top of her class from the Earth's Defense Academy. "I'm reading maybe 200 ships still running, sir. They're trying to evacuate the planet, but something is hunting them." Miller could see it now. Dark shapes moved through the wreckage like sharks through bloody water. The Void Hunter ships didn't look like anything he had ever seen. They seemed to shift and change as he watched, as if they couldn't decide what shape they wanted to be. "Captain Foster, Captain Johnson, report," Miller said into his communication device. Defiant dawn, ready for combat, came the voice of Captain Karen Foster. Her ship was built for long-range support, with weapons that could strike targets from incredible distances. "Stormbringer standing by," said Captain Alex Johnson. His ship was the biggest and most heavily armed of the 3 human vessels. Miller watched as one of the Void Hunter ships caught up to a fleeing alien transport. The enemy vessels seemed to reach out with invisible arms and crush the transport like an egg. Thousands of innocent people died in seconds. "That's enough," Miller said quietly. "All ships to cloak and engage." The 3 human ships peered out of nowhere, their stealth systems shutting down to reveal sleek predator shapes that looked nothing like the peaceful alien vessels. The Void Hunters immediately turned toward them, sensing new prey. Miller opened a communication channel to the fleeing alien ships. "This is Captain Steve Miller of the Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call. Permission to engage." "The hostiles?" The response came from a ship that looked like a giant crystal flower. The voice was deep and musical, but filled with desperation. "A known vessel. This is Admiral Kethvara of the Centaurian Defense Fleet. We do not know your species, but if you can fight those monsters, you have our permission to try." Miller smiled grimly. "Roger that, Admiral. All human ships, weapons free. Show these things what happens when they pick on innocent people."
Axe,
The first Void Hunter ship came straight at the Earth's fury, its form shifting and changing as it approached. Miller had fought many battles in the simulators, but this was different. This was real. "Sophie, target the lead ship with quantum phase weapons," Miller ordered. "Ordered," Sophie replied, her fingers dancing across the weapon controls. The human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or plasma bolts, they fired concentrated bursts of altered reality. The quantum phase weapons could punch through any shield by existing in multiple dimensions at once. The Void Hunter ship took the hit and seemed to stagger in space. For a moment, its shifting form became solid, revealing something that looked like a cross between a spider and a nightmare. Then it exploded in a burst of dark energy. "Direct hit," Sophie shouted. "The target is destroyed." Alien ships fell silent. Admiral Kethvara's voice came through the communication system, filled with amazement. "How did you do that?" "Our weapons cannot even touch them." "We're from a death world," Miller replied simply. "We build our weapons to kill things that shouldn't be able to die." The other Void Hunter ships began to adapt, their forms shifting to try to counter the human weapons. But Captain Foster was ready for them. The Defiant Dawn's probability shift shields created a field of altered chance around the human ships, making enemy weapons miss even when they should have hit. "Miller, I've got 3 more coming in from the left." Captain Johnson's voice crackled through the radio. "They're trying to flank us. I see them," Miller replied. "Sophie, coordinate with the Stormbringer. Let's try that pincer move we practiced." 2 ships moved in perfect synchronization, their crews working together despite never having fought side by side before. The Stormbringer's heavy weapons kept the Void Hunters busy, while the Earth's fury swooped in from below, its quantum phase weapons tearing through enemy hulls. Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Parker, who had transferred to the Earth's fury as diplomatic liaison, was working frantically to establish communication with the other alien ships. Her job was to explain to the Confederation forces that humans were friends, not new enemies. "Admiral Kethvara, this is Dr. Lisa Parker of Earth. We need to coordinate our attack patterns. Can you tell us how many enemy ships remain?" The Admiral's voice was filled with confusion and hope. "Dr. Parker, we count 15 Void Hunter vessels still active. But how is it possible that your weapons work when ours do not?" Lisa looked at the battle raging outside her window. Human ships moved like Earth predators, quick and deadly, while the alien vessels fled like prey animals. "Admiral, our species evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to fight things that seemed impossible to defeat." As if to prove her point, Lieutenant Sophie Davis pulled off a maneuver that should have been impossible. She used the Earth's Fury's gravitational manipulation system to create a small black hole, and guided it into a group of 3 Void Hunter ships. The enemy vessels were crushed before they could adapt to the new threat. "By the ancestors," Admiral Kethvara whispered, "you are warriors born." The battle continued for another hour. The human ships moved through the enemy formation like dancers, their weapons finding weak points that the Void Hunters didn't even know they had. Captain Foster's long-range bombardment kept the enemy confused, while Captain Johnson's heavy assault ship smashed through their defenses. But the Void Hunters were learning. As the battle progressed, they began to adapt to human tactics. Their reality-warping abilities started to counter some of the human weapons, and their ships became harder to hit. "They're adapting faster than we expected," Sophie reported. "Quantum phase weapons are only running at 60% effectiveness now." Miller frowned. The Void Hunters were dangerous because they could learn and change during battle. If the fight went on much longer, they might adapt completely to human technology. "All ships, listen up," Miller said. "We need to end this now, before they figure out how to stop us completely." "What do you have in mind?" Captain Johnson asked. Miller looked at his tactical display and saw an opportunity. The remaining Void Hunter ships had formed a defensive cluster around what looked like their command vessel. If he could take out the command ship, the others might retreat. "I'm going to ram their flagship," Miller said calmly. "Sir, that's suicide," Sophie protested. "Not if I eject at the last second," Miller replied. "Sophie, I need you to program the ship's autopilot for a collision course. Set the quantum phase weapons to overload on impact." Dr. Parker grabbed his arm. "Steve, there has to be another way. Miller looked at her seriously. Lisa, those things have killed 40 billion people. My ship can stop them from killing 40 billion more. It's worth it. Before anyone could argue further, Miller activated the autopilot and ordered his crew to the escape pods. The Earth's Fury accelerated toward the Void Hunter flagship, its weapons charging for one final devastating attack. The enemy ship tried to dodge, but Captain Foster and Captain Johnson coordinated their fire to keep it pinned. In place, the Earth's Fury struck the Void Hunter flagship at full speed, its quantum phase weapons. It's exploding in a burst of twisted reality. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. When the light faded, the Void Hunter flagship was gone, and the remaining enemy ships were retreating into dark space. Admiral Kethvara's voice came through the communication system. It's filled with awe and gratitude. Captain Miller, your sacrifice has saved millions of lives. The Confederation will remember this day forever. Miller's voice crackled from his escape pod. Just doing our job, Admiral. Earth is here to help. As the human ships regrouped and began rescue operations, the galaxy learned its first lesson about humanity. When innocent people were threatened, humans would do whatever it took to protect them. Even if it meant sacrificing themselves, the Age of Shadows was over. The Age of Human Guardians had begun. Dr. Zarathis floated in her research chamber aboard the Confederation science vessel Peaceful Mind, staring at the data from the recent battle. As an ethereal, she had 4 arms and a brain that could process information faster than most species in the galaxy. But what she was reading made no sense. The human blood sample glowed purple under her analysis beam. The gravity readings from their home planet made her feel sick. The atmospheric composition would kill most known species in minutes, and their evolutionary history read like a horror story. This cannot be correct, she whispered to herself in her musical language. Her assistant, young Zephyrian named Kliktar, buzzed his wings nervously. Doctor, I have checked the data 17 times. The humans come from what our classification system calls a Class 12 death world. Zarathis felt her blood turn cold. A Class 12 death world was theoretical. No one believed that intelligent life could evolve on such a planet. The gravity alone should have crushed any developing civilization. Show me the planet's details, she said quietly. The holographic display showed a blue and green world that looked beautiful from space. But as Kliktar added more information, Zarathis began to understand why the humans fought so well. Earth's gravity is 3 times standard galactic norm, Kliktar reported. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which is highly corrosive to most life forms. The weather systems include something called hurricanes that can level entire cities. What about the life forms? Zarathis asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. The humans evolved alongside creatures they call apex predators, animals that hunt other animals for food. The largest land predators can weigh over 8 tons and have teeth longer than my arm. Zarathis stared at the images of Earth's animals. Bears that could tear apart metal. Sharks that had been killing for millions of years. Snakes that could inject poison capable of dropping a creature 10 times their size. And the humans had survived alongside all of these monsters. Dr. Kliktar said quietly, there is something else. The humans did not just survive on their death world. They became the dominant species. They are the apex predators now. The implications hit Zarathis like a physical blow. Humans weren't just tough because of their planet. They were predators themselves. They had evolved to hunt and kill in environments that would be considered torture chambers by galactic standards. Her communication device buzzed with an incoming message from Admiral Kethvara. Dr. Zarathis, please report to the main conference room immediately. We need your analysis of the human species. Zarathis gathered her data files and floated through the ship's corridors. As she moved, she could hear other crew members talking in worried voices about the humans. Word was spreading quickly through the Confederation fleet that their saviors were from a death world. The conference room was filled with representatives from 12 different species. Admiral Kethvara, a proud Centaurian with 4 arms and golden skin, stood at the head of the table. His usually confident demeanor seemed shaken. Doctor, the Admiral said, please share your findings about our new allies. Sarathius activated the holographic display and showed the assembled aliens what she had discovered. As the information appeared, she watched their faces change from curiosity to horror to disbelief. "This is impossible," said Commander Vexnull, a tall, crystalline being whose body was made of living crystal. "No intelligent species could evolve under such conditions, and yet they did," Sarathius replied. "Not only did they evolve, but they thrived. The humans have been the dominant species on their planet for over 200,000 years." Admiral Cathvara studied the data carefully. "This explains why their weapons worked against the Void Hunters. They built their technology to survive in hell itself." Meanwhile, 3 sectors away, General Amy Rodriguez was stepping off a transport ship onto the Confederation station, New Hope. She was leading the first human ground forces to make contact with alien civilizations. She could feel thousands of alien eyes watching her every move. General Rodriguez was a typical human soldier. She stood 6 feet tall, which was average for her species, but made her tower over most aliens. Her muscles were dense and strong from growing up in Earth's heavy gravity. Her eyes moved constantly, scanning for threats the way all human predators did. Behind her walked 50 human soldiers, each one carrying equipment that looked alien to the peaceful Confederation. Their armor was black and angular, designed for combat in the worst environments imaginable. Their weapons were built to stop charging Earth predators that weighed several tons. The aliens in the docking bay backed away as the humans passed. Some were clearly afraid. Others seemed fascinated. A few looked like they wanted to run. "General Rodriguez," came a voice from the crowd. A Zephyrian diplomat named Buzek approached carefully. "Welcome to New Hope Station. I am here to escort you to the meeting with our leadership." Amy nodded politely. "Thank you, Buzek. Hope we can work together to stop the Void Hunters." As they walked through the station, Amy noticed how different everything was from human design. The corridors were wide and open, with soft curves. Instead of hard angles, the lighting was gentle and warm. Everything was built for peaceful beings who had never known real war. General Buzek said quietly, "May I ask about your homeworld? The scientists are saying things that seem impossible." Amy looked down at the small alien diplomat. Buzek was about 4 feet tall and looked like a humanoid insect. On Earth, he would be considered prey for dozens of different predators. Here, he was a leader of advanced civilization. "What would you like to know?" Amy asked. "Is it true that your planet tries to kill you every day?" Amy thought about her childhood on Earth. She remembered hurricane warnings, earthquake drills, and the basic survival training that all human children received. She remembered camping trips where her father taught her to watch for bears, poisonous snakes, and a dozen other dangers. "Yes," she said simply. "Earth is not a gentle place. We learned to be strong because we had to be." They entered a large meeting hall where hundreds of alien representatives had gathered. Amy could see fear in many of their faces. She also saw hope. These people had watched their fleets destroyed by the Void Hunters. Now they were looking at humans like salvation itself. Captain Alex Johnson was addressing the crowd from a raised platform. Behind him stood several human soldiers, their presence making the aliens nervous. "The Void Hunters are not invincible," Johnson was saying. "They can be defeated. But you need to understand that this war will be different from anything you have experienced before." Crystalline delegate raised a shimmering hand. "Captain Johnson, our species has lived in peace for over 3,000 years. We do not know how to fight wars." Johnson nodded sympathetically. "I understand. But the Void Hunters don't care about your peaceful intentions. They see kindness as weakness. They feed on fear and death." "What do you suggest?" asked another. "Delegate. We need to teach you to think like predators," Johnson replied. "On Earth, we have a saying, the best defense is a good offense. We need to take the fight to them before they can adapt completely to our technology." In another part of the station, Sergeant Tony Baker was running a training session with alien soldiers. Tony was a former survival instructor who had spent years teaching humans how to stay alive in Earth's wilderness. Now he was trying to teach aliens how to fight. The alien soldiers looked confused and frightened. They had been trained for peacekeeping missions, not combat. And their weapons were designed to stun, not kill. Their tactics focused on de-escalation, not destruction. "Listen up," Tony said to the mixed group of Centaurians, Zephyrians, and Crystallines. "The Void Hunters are hunters. They think like predators. To beat them, you need to think like predators too." A young Centaurian soldier raised his hand. "Sergeant Baker, my species has not been predators for millions of years. You do not know how to hunt." Tony looked at the alien soldier with sympathy. These beings had evolved beyond the need for violence. They had created a peaceful galaxy where different species worked together. It was beautiful, but it had also made them vulnerable. "I'm going to teach you," Tony said. "We're going to start with basic survival instincts. How to watch for ambushes, how to set traps, how to think like something that kills to survive." In the research lab, Dr. Zarathius was sharing her data with the galaxy's top scientists. The implications of humanity's existence were spreading through the Confederation like wildfire. "We need to understand something," she said to the assembled researchers. The humans are not just strong because of their planet. They are psychologically adapted for warfare. Their entire evolutionary history is about survival against impossible odds. "What does this mean for us?" asked Dr. Humbrill, a wise old academic from the archive world. "It means we have found the perfect allies for this." "War," Zarathius replied. "The Void Hunters destroy civilizations by breaking their will to fight. But humans come from a world that never stopped trying to break them. They cannot be broken." As word spread throughout the Confederation about humanity's true nature, reactions were mixed. Some species were terrified to learn that their saviors were apex predators from a nightmare world. Admiral Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Earth's Guardian, watching 50 red dots appear on the galaxy map. Each dot represented a star system under attack by the Void Hunters. The enemy had learned from their defeat at Nexus Prime and was now attacking everywhere at once.
"How many ships do we have to respond?"
Jake asked his tactical officer. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim looked at her screen with worried eyes. "We have 37 human ships and 200 Confederation vessels spread across the galaxy, Admiral. The enemy is attacking 50 systems simultaneously. We can't be everywhere at once." Jake had been promoted to Admiral after the victory at Nexus Prime, and now he commanded the combined human-alien fleet. It was the biggest responsibility anyone had ever given him, and millions of lives depended on his decisions. "Sir," came a voice from the communication station, "we're receiving distress calls from the Outer Rim colonies. The Void Hunters are targeting civilian populations first." Jake felt anger building in his chest. The Void Hunters weren't just trying to win a war. They were trying to cause as much fear and suffering as possible before they destroyed each world. It was evil in its purest form. "Admiral Thompson, are you ready?" Jake asked into his communication device. "Admiral Chris." Thompson's voice came through clearly from his hidden command center. "Protocol Omega is armed and ready, Jake. Just give the word." Protocol Omega was humanity's greatest secret. For over 2 centuries, while exploring the galaxy in hidden ships, humans had been placing automated defense platforms in empty space, thousands of them scattered throughout the galaxy, waiting for the day they might be needed. "Do it, Jake," said all across the galaxy, empty space suddenly filled with weapons. The hidden defense platforms uncloaked simultaneously, revealing a network of military power that no one had imagined. Each platform was equipped with quantum phase weapons and powered by miniature fusion reactors. Together, they turned the entire galaxy into a fortress. The Void Hunters had walked into a trap that had been 200 years in the making. Captain Karen Foster, now commanding a task force of 20 ships, watched as the hidden platforms came online in her sector. "This is incredible," she said to her crew. "They're everywhere." The platforms began firing in coordinated patterns, their weapons creating a web of deadly energy that caught the Void Hunter fleets completely by surprise. Ships that had seemed unstoppable were suddenly being destroyed by weapons that appeared from nowhere, but the battle was far from over. The Void Hunters were quick to adapt, and their reality-warping abilities allowed them to counter many of the platform weapons. The real fight would come down to the human ships and their alien allies. Captain Alex Johnson was leading the assault on the largest Void Hunter concentration, a massive fleet that was attacking the Confederation's industrial worlds. His ship, the Stormbringer, had been rebuilt after the battle at Nexus Prime and was now even more heavily armed. "All ships, this is Johnson," he said into his communication device. "We're going to hit them hard and fast. Don't give them time to adapt to our weapons." The combined fleet moved like a pack of earth wolves, coordinated and deadly. Human ships provided the heavy firepower, while alien vessels used their speed and agility to confuse the enemy. It was a partnership that neither species could have, achieved alone. Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Parker was working frantically in her laboratory aboard the Earth's Guardian. She had been studying Void Hunter technology for months, trying to understand how their reality warping abilities worked. Finally, she had made a breakthrough. "Admiral Martinez," she said, rushing onto the bridge with her tablet, "I found something important. The Void Hunter's power comes from a central source. They're connected to something in their home dimension." "What kind of something?" Jake asked. "It's like a corrupted galactic core," Lisa explained. "They took the dying heart of their original universe and turned it into a weapon. That's what gives them the power to warp reality." Jake studied the data on Lisa's tablet. "Can we destroy it?" "Maybe," Lisa said. "But someone would have to take a ship into their home dimension and manually overload the core. It would be a one-way trip." Before Jake could respond, the ship's communication system buzzed with an incoming message. It was Captain Steve Miller, speaking from his new ship, the Earth's Vengeance. "Admiral, I'm volunteering for the mission," Miller said. "I've died once already fighting these things. Might as well make it count." "Steve, you're not dying on my watch," Jake replied. "We'll find another way." But even as he spoke, Jake knew that they were running out of time. The Void Hunters were adapting to the defense platforms faster than expected. Soon, their numerical advantage would overcome even the galaxy's hidden defenses. Lieutenant Sophie Davis, serving as Jake's tactical officer, was monitoring the battle reports from across the galaxy. "Admiral, we're losing ground in sectors 7 and 12. The enemy is breaking through our defensive lines." Jake made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "Steve, take a volunteer crew and prepare for the dimensional assault. Lisa, give him everything you know about the Void Hunter power source." Captain Alex Johnson's voice crackled through the communication system. "Admiral, I'm volunteering too. The Stormbringer is the most heavily armed ship we have. If anyone's going to punch through their defenses, it should be us." Jake felt his heart sink. Alex Johnson was one of the best captains in the human fleet, and also one of his closest friends. "Alex, I can't ask you to do this." "You're not asking," Alex replied. "I'm telling you. This is what we trained for, Jake. This is why Earth built ships like the Stormbringer." An hour later, the Stormbringer and the Earth's Vengeance were approaching. The dimensional rift that led to the Void Hunter home dimension. Both ships had been modified with Lisa's new technology, designed to disrupt the corrupted galactic core. "This is Johnson to all ships," Alex said over the communication system. "It's been an honor serving with you all. Tell Earth that we did our duty." The two ships disappeared into the rift, leaving the rest of the fleet to continue the battle in normal space. Jake watched them go and felt a piece of his soul tear away. Inside the Void Hunter dimension, Alex Johnson found himself in a place that defied description. Reality twisted and flowed like liquid. The laws of physics changed from moment to moment, and at the center of it all was the corrupted core, a ball of dark energy that pulsed with malevolent life. "Steve, are you seeing this?" Alex asked into his communication device. "I see it," Miller replied from the Earth's Vengeance. Lisa was right. That thing is the source of their power. The two ships fought their way through swarms of Void Hunter defenders, their weapons carving a path toward the corrupted core. But as they got closer, the reality distortions became stronger. The Stormbringer's hull began to twist and change shape. "Alex, my ship is falling apart," Miller reported. "The dimensional stress is too much." "Mine too," Alex replied. "We need to do this now." Both captains activated their ship's quantum phase weapons and fired everything they had at the corrupted core. The dark energy sphere began to crack and flicker. Reality itself seemed to scream in protest. "It's working," Miller shouted. The core is destabilizing, but the effort was destroying both ships. Alex felt the Stormbringer breaking apart. Around him, he had just enough time to send one final message before the explosion consumed everything. "Tell my family I love them," he said quietly, "and tell the galaxy that Earth will always protect the innocent." The corrupted core exploded in a burst of twisted light that could be seen across dimensions. In normal space, every Void Hunter ship suddenly stopped moving. Their reality-warping abilities disappeared. Their weapons went silent. Jake watched in amazement as the enemy fleet began to drift helplessly through space. "All ships, this is Admiral Martinez, Void Hunters, have been neutralized. Begin rescue and cleanup operations."
Out.
But the victory felt hollow. Two of humanity's best captains had paid the ultimate price to save the galaxy. Their sacrifice would be remembered forever, but that didn't make losing them hurt any less. 3 months later, Jake stood before the Galactic Council for the first time in human history. President Catherine Walsh had come to make humanity's formal introduction to the galaxy's government. "Members of the Galactic Confederation," President Walsh said, "humanity requests formal membership in your alliance. We offer our protection and our friendship to all peaceful species." The response was immediate and unanimous. Every species in the Council voted to accept humanity as full members. The Zephyrians offered Earth a permanent seat on the governing council. The Centaurians pledged eternal friendship. Even the traditionally suspicious Crystallans welcomed humans as brothers. But Jake wasn't in the council chambers. He was on a frontier world, establishing the first joint human-alien military academy. His students included both human cadets and young aliens who wanted to learn how to protect their homes. As he watched his students practice combat maneuvers together, Jake felt a sense of pride and hope. The galaxy had learned that the most dangerous predators could also be the most reliable protectors.